Quick question. Between the two of us, we don't have any podcasts. So where the hell have you been?
Where I've been, man, it's been a roller coaster because I recently became a dad of twin daughters. Thank you. Yeah, so it's being a parent. I really underestimated how much time it takes, just to get settled into that life. So I needed to take a step back and just take care of the family and myself, and just do something different than the usual kickboxing stuff. So,
well, I don't understand, because you are raising your child to be a future champion, or are you not? I don't understand.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Why not? And I got two of them, so we can do it like the Urabe brothers. But
yeah, I was gonna say.
I think my girlfriend will be very angry if I will put them up like that. But
well, it's funny talking to fighters, and all of them, when you ask, like, congratulations on the child, do you want to raise them to be a fighter? And every fighter's like, oh God, no, I would never put them in this industry.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can see why. I mean, it's a dangerous job.
And the pay is rough, and you get scary promoters and whatever. It's a tough gig, but I would say between fighting in a ring in front of thousands of people, the much more challenging thing is podcasting. Like people don't say it enough, but we are kind of heroes of modern society.
Unsung heroes. Yeah. So I don't want to brag, but you're doing a great job.
I haven't done anything in months, bro. What are you talking about? I've done a great job. No one's seen me for like 6 months.
When you do, it's always awesome. So
yeah. When I come out of the
cave, quantity.
Yeah, that's right. The 2 shows we do a year. Between the two of us, we do 2 shows a year at this point, and they're really good shows. But yeah, no, it's funny because genuinely, both you and I looked at kickboxing. It's a massive gap in there's no podcasting, there's no incredible video content in that space. So you and I stepped into that space, and then both very quickly we were like, oh my God, this is so much work.
The thing is, we both are, I think, very perfectionistic, because I saw some videos of you, like, for example, I love those. I think it was the Alex Pereira video. It wasn't kickboxing, but still, you did like this small little coffee story, and while you were telling the story, you take quality in high regard, and I think that's the reason why we're burned out. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's not a joke. So with my writing jobs, like, I had to take a full day off of those other jobs just to do any video work, because it takes so long in terms of focus and stuff like that. Like, I would just tell people at work, like, Wednesdays I'm not coming in, or Wednesdays I can't write because I got to do video. And like the same thing for you. It takes hours. I would always say 1 minute of video edited properly is about an hour in the studio, right?
Most definitely, yeah. I actually had this conversation recently. I have a full-time job, and if possible, I'd like to work a day less and spend 1 day on my podcast. But raising 2 children, it's quite difficult to say, unless of course someone is willing to sponsor me, so I get something out of it. But we'll see what happens. But I think you and I, we just love the sport, and I think we make sacrifices for the greater good.
No, that's the thing. Like, genuinely, I think we could get better interactions doing other sports. But man, this sport is absolutely awesome, and that's why I'm going to keep the editing casual today. I think in a few minutes we'll have Dogman joining us, the other retired kickboxing podcaster joining us. And to keep editing light, I'm just going to do a screen share of the posters, and I'll have some fights playing as we're talking along here. But okay. All right, but let's start with the basics. Glory 100. This is one of the bigger events in kickboxing history, easily the biggest kickboxing event of the year, and one of the biggest of the past decade. Where do you, in your mind, did it live up to the hype of what you would have put together for a Glory 100 kickboxing event?
Yeah, I think it's, considering the rankings, considering the divisions, I think this is probably the best card they could have come up with. I mean, you got the best of the best. Basically, all divisions, all their champions are fighting, except for the 77 kg division, because I think Chico had a fight in Miami last month. To be honest, I wish that fight would have been on this card, because, man, for different reasons, multiple reasons. but I don't want to get into it too much. But I felt that underground was a little bit underwhelming. But I think Glory 100 will be amazing. I mean, it's gonna be the creme de la creme. I compared it with these old school JK K1 fight cards. These massive cards with over 20 fights. And I think even as it originally was like a 2-day event. Mm-hmm. Eventually, because of the ticket sale, maybe we'll get into this a little bit on later. But eventually they merged the two cards together because the tickets weren't selling as great as they expected. It's gonna be it wasn't planned by Glory, but I think this is the best outcome because you get all the big fights in one night, 4-man tournaments. You get 4 or 5 title fights. So much amazing stuff is gonna happen, man. I mean, I'm very excited about this, and the return of Vakhitov.
There's a lot of great moving parts to this, to the point that like Glory 100, absolutely awesome. Glory 101 is not even booked because they don't have any like fighters left at that point. I know that there was a lot of like day one fights that they're going to move to somewhere else, but like this is it. They are shooting their full clip into this event, and it is looking very good. And like you said, this is very much like a classic style event. It reminds me of like an old boomer trying to order coffee of like, I just want coffee black, no frou-frou, no fancy macchiato. Yeah. So this event they were planning like, I don't want any fancy Japanese Muay Thai. I don't want any women. I just want big boys in a tournament. And that's exactly what they got, right? It's a classic K1 style card.
It is, man. And I think a lot of people have been craving for that for years. I mean, I got my opinions on why, they're going to focus a lot on heavyweight. To be honest, there are so many great weight classes next to heavyweight. But the thing is, the heavyweights do capture the imagination of a lot of fans who grew up with, the early zeros, maybe the 90s, the old K1 style events. So in that regard, man, if they can pull off even like 1% of, the glitter and glamour of, the K1 back in the day, then they've got something.
And that's definitely what they've been going for the last little while here. I do hope it works out. I love that they put together a 32-man heavyweight tournament, making history. Like, it is absolutely awesome. And there's some awesome fighters in it. So let's say you're not picking the obvious, like Jamal Ben Sadiq, and we will get into kind of picks as we go along.
Yeah.
But who do you envision? Let's say we're talking in December. Who do you think is walking away? Who's the underdog of this entire tournament?
The underdog. Wow, that's a great question. The underdog. I think this is very unlikely, but Yuri Fernandez, the reserve fighter, he's a big talent. He's a big talent from Portugal. He recently defeated Bogdan Stoica in an event. He was like brought in as a guy, as cannon fodder, and eventually he defeated Stoica. And I feel like if he could enter the tournament, he could be something of a dark horse. I mean, he's very talented. But that's what, like I mentioned, the chances of that happening is very slim. So
I mean, if you're gambling and you put like 10 euros down on him winning the tournament, you might win 10,000 euros at the end of, because he's a massive, massive underdog. He might not even make it, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if someone is putting money on that, you're welcome if he wins.
I'm not going to pick that big of an underdog. That's a great underdog. I'm going to pick Chem Caceres as an underdog because, like, a little bit unexpected, but man, is he ever talented, right?
Yeah, he was my second pick. Yeah,
super talented, super underrated. Dogman, are you joining us from the lab? He's out in the sticks right now.
Yeah,
I'll get back to him in a minute.
He'll be back.
Hopefully. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you going to the event, by the way?
No, I actually was thinking of going, but because it's too difficult to plan and schedule things with two daughters at home, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it on the TV, just holding a drink in one hand and a baby in another one, watching TV, watching kickboxing. So,
dude, life is good. Life is good, man. And the Netherlands, like, it's a huge country. It's hard to get across, right?
It's so difficult. It's insanely big.
Well, man, I was talking to Ron all the time back in the day, and he was like, "Yeah, Ron from Vexport. I should have had him on. Oh, whatever." But he was like, "Yeah, no, I got to stay the night here in Arnhem or something like that." I'm like, "Bro, what? You live like 20 minutes away. You could probably jog home if you wanted to. Why do you need a hotel?"
Yeah, it's all about perspective. It depends on where you're from, but because you're based in London, right?
Yeah, are based up in Scotland, but I'm from Canada originally. So like, I used to drive home to visit my parents, like Calgary to where my hometown was, and that was a 4-hour drive. But I would do it every Friday, come back Sunday, because like 4 hours in Canada, not a big deal. That's the next city over. There's nothing in between those 2 points, but that's nothing.
4 hours, man. I think if I would start a car right now, drive 4 hours, I think I will be almost, in Italy or something.
Yeah, you'd be in Italy. You could be Disney Paris by that point. Like, you could be pretty far,
definitely.
Man.
Yeah. It's very close by. Yeah, it is.
4 hours is a vintage.
Man, how you doing, dog, man? You're down in London, right?
Yeah. I'm going to start eating hard kickboxing.
Man, I put on the 1080p. I put on the local recording. We got the best sound quality, dog, man. How you doing?
I'm assuming that is a joke. I was told I'm not allowed to use my phone camera. So I'm using the laptop with headphones that cost say conservatively $10.
It looks like you're on a conference call. You got the Javra microphone coming around. You look like you're actually working right now.
You can see me?
No, I'm just assuming. I've seen people in offices before, man. I used to have an office job. I know.
I gulped down some scalding hot soup so that I pretend that I'm having lunch outside so that we can talk about it. You ruined my work, but it's been fantastic.
Hey, no, you're welcome. Yeah, you can just say thank you. That's a weird way to say thanks.
No, I do this because thank you.
Okay, well, let's jump into it now. Dogman, I just want to get a perspective. Glory 100, we were talking like this is like a boomer card, this is a little bit old man card because it's just heavyweight, big boys. It's very reminiscent of the old K1, which is definitely what they were going for. How do you feel about the overall Glory 100 outlook?
So, first of all, you have to understand that heavyweights is due to the effect of gravity, time moves slowly. So they can be for relative. But, I've been sort of ideologically opposed to the idea of K1 really was not that long ago. And it was, dreadful.
Yes.
But I have to admit, and despite the fact that I am, a bit of a downer, or haven't seen, is that actually I was very entertained by the last card.
Yeah.
I can't visualize the structure in their tournament thing, but actually surprising. So that said, the distribution. I'm a big proponent of paying for kickboxing. But the pay-per-view that you have another subscription to buy is insane.
Well, hey, that's my part-time employer you're talking about. So I want you to get 2 subscriptions and buy the pay-per-view 2 times. Fucking no one should pirate this event.
No, and I won't, but I will say this, okay? I'm a man of a certain age. I've never been cool. You cannot expect me to say the zone.
Yeah,
you're a kickboxing fan. You're cool. Come on.
Yeah, you're cool.
Come on.
I mean, nothing says cool like we all posted on the Sherdog forums about kickboxing at one point in our lives. That is the height of like that's what women are all about, right?
I could ask, but I'd rather not. I already know the answer, but we all got to start somewhere, right?
All right, let's jump into the tournament itself. I want to know. So we're going to do it as group brackets. So there's 4 guys in each group. Now, Kickboxing Nerd, Kimball, I'm going to be starting with you. Group number 1, you got Iraj Azipur, Yonat Yansu, Ariz Abu Zaid, and Abdullah Nazapov. Who do you think who are the final 2 in that? And then who do you think is going to be the winner on this night?
Yeah, this is a great tournament. I mean, you got different styles But if there's one thing that I notice is like, Irash Azizpour, Ionut Yanku, both are quite stocky, go for the kill. That is my most favorite fight in this particular tournament. I mean, when Glory 99 was up, I was like, I really hope these guys will fight each other. And when they got matched up, by accident, actually, I was so excited. And so this is the fight I'm most looking forward to in this tournament. And I think this could go both ways, but I like that spinning back fist from Iraj, man. I really like that one. So I feel like he could pull it off, to go to the next round. And if we look at the other fight, then I think, well, Nazipov is like a big talent, but I do feel like we didn't see enough in his last Glory outing. And the same could be said of Bazid as well, because he knocked his opponent out like within a minute, I think. Which was very sad for Nathan Cook, by the way. I mean, I felt bad for him because he lost his dad, I think, the day before.
Man, that was rough. Man, and like,
that was rough.
Oh, and the broadcast being like his dad passed away just yesterday, and he goes down like within the same few seconds.
Yeah, that hurt, man. But he showed that he's got some power, Bazid. So I feel like he could pull it off. So I see a final between Irash Azizpour and Bazid, but it's a coin toss actually. So yeah.
Completely agree with you. I like Iraj overall, and out of those four. Dogman, you there? What do you think of the four for group number one?
I mean, as a sport, forgive me because things. Was it Radio Package or was it the other he lost to on the
It was he definitely lost to Kriklia. And Radej Opacic. He lost to both, actually, yeah.
Okay, so not such a great track record against the European team. But he's got some good stuff about him. The thing with Yanku, yes, he does hit hard. Love to push him whatever. But I don't know if he has a conditioning issue. He's a big. I think there's a contingent that boost shuts down certain fighters and certain challenges, particularly. So I'd like to see where he is, and I think Azizpour has had a bit of a hard time, but I do like, like you said, I don't know that I could. Yeah, I think it's nice. Again, they have this multiple training. And I think in the realm, which might be about coin toss, one coin toss is not necessary. And I think that's wise if you're trying to find some eventually in place. Rico, I guess, but whether it's any of these two, nice, good.
No, yeah, I'm a big Iraj Azizpour fan as well. I'm going to pick him out of this group. I think he's the most experienced. He is the favorite in that tournament, in that group for a reason. But yeah, looking forward to that one. Let's get to the next group here. Sorry, I'm trying to read it across my screen. We got Big Sexy taking on Colin George, and we got Milos from Serbia, the K1 East champion, taking on Cem Caceres. I absolutely love this one. Dogman, let me start with you here. How they muted themselves. That's all right. Kimball. Yeah, do it. All right. Who do you got? Group 2, you got Milos, you got Big Sexy, you got Cem Caceres and Colin George. Really good group there. That's a fun one. Who do you have walking away from this group?
I would hope Milos. I think he's pretty undersized, so I was deeply happy. I think Chab is the most evil presence kickboxing at the moment. I have never enjoyed any of his fights, so I was just over the moon that someone has put an end to the sort of elephant seal style of fighting. So whether it is necessarily smart, I don't know, because you're going to make me say the word "bit sexy" out in public, but he's a very big man.
Yeah,
and I think that may be I think it will come down to those two. Milos did actually, surprise that, Khbabez a very big, hard different. Hurting him to the body probably not the easiest thing, but he still tried. So I think he might be, adjusting to fighting people of this size, and might surprise us. We shall see. But I would hope Milos, but I think maybe.
Absolutely. K1 East champion. The Kickboxing Nerd, who do you got out of those four?
A little bit of the same. I do think, that a lot of people see Jem Caceres as the one of the favorites in that fight, especially in the Netherlands. He's a big guy, a big fan favorite over here. But I think, he is coming up from light heavyweight. I mean, Milos as well, but he fought in heavyweight a few times before. So he knows what power is. He knows how to knock people out who are heavier than himself. So I feel, Milos should be able to overcome the big talent that Jem Caceres is. And me as well, I think, Big Sexy is going in the final with him. And again, like Dogman said, it's a tough task. I mean, Horta is a big guy. He's relentless, comes forward, doesn't, knows how to step back. So for Milos to win, his only way to win, I think, is go on the inside and make it a street fight like he did with Khbabez. A little bit like how Chad Collins defeated Petch. Just make it dirty. That's I think how he could win. But Big Sexy his name is Big Sexy. He's a big guy. So, it's going to be a tough task. So I do think Big Sexy is going to win, but I'd love an upset. I mean, I like Milos. He knows how to talk the mic well. He knows how to fight well. He's got a certain appeal to the fans. So I feel he could bring the surprise, but I wouldn't be surprised if Big Sexy wins.
Yeah, this is, I think, my favorite big four out of this one, because I could see Big Sexy maybe taking the entire tournament. At the same time, my underdog pick was Jem Caceres, and at the same time, I could see Milos beating both of those guys. I mean, and like, I think the biggest problem in this industry is sometimes you become friends with people, so you can't pick against them. But man, I think I'm gonna stick with the 7 foot tall, like 300-pound guy who moves like a featherweight. That's Big Sexy all day. That's him. He might take the whole tournament, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
well,
not.
At least, well, I mean, you mean like in December as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be awesome if you would go to the final against, if we're lucky, against Rico, but we'll see what happens.
Let's do it. All right, let's get back to the next group. Sorry, I'm going to mute you for 1 second, Dogman. Let's move to... Sorry, I don't have them memorized. You have Alin Najita, the young man from Romania, who is quite a talent and I think a little undersized for this division, going up against Mori Kroma, mainly a light heavyweight, but absolutely a super incredible talent. Everyone's favorite, Bahram Rajabzadeh, is taking on Arsden Gashi. Now, I feel like this is kind of one of the easier ones, but everyone here is a light heavyweight in this. A Kickboxing Nerd, I'm going to start with you here. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, most obviously, the big name is Bahram Rajabzadeh, and I think he could pull it off. I mean, I think he'll win. Let's just put it like that. I think Gashi is just not on the level that Bahram is at this moment. I do see a big talent in Gashi, but at this moment, I just don't see him doing something any special to overcome the Tasmanian devil that Bahram is. Bahram is just a whirlwind. He's crazy, insane.
Man, there is a reason that he has within 2 years went from a debuting fighter to the most popular fighter in kickboxing, right?
Yeah, that's why tournaments are awesome. Come on. I mean, even if you lose, you can become a star, but your star has to match as well. But anyway, so I think Bahram in the final with, I want to say Kroma, but Nekita did very well. He was awesome against Krenich. I mean, he can fight on the inside very well. I actually thought he was a middleweight when I saw him first. He's a very small guy. And Mori Kroma gets a little bit sloppy when he's fighting smaller guys. I mean, he did defeat Milos, but, it was like he was hanging and it didn't came out, it looked a bit sloppy. That's it. So it could be both ways. But, let's go with the fan favorite. Let's go with Kroma. I mean, he's got that Remy Bonjeski kind of fight style. He knows how to, play the jumping knees game so incredibly well. I mean, even Remy Bonjeski himself actually compares him with Kroma. So, and I used to be a big fan of his style, so I got to go with Kroma.
Oh yeah, no, we're all a fan favorite of Remy Bonjeski. Now Now, Dogman, let me ask you, Maury Chroma, he seems to tread that balance between one of the like future greats and just an incredible talent, and then sometimes he's just a guy like reaching and floating out in the abyss. I'm gonna say he probably wins, and then Bahram Rajabzadeh also probably wins. Dogman, how do you square up a Maury Chroma and Rajabzadeh fight?
I think the thing about Rajabzadeh, they have booked him too smartly because they know what he does, he's capable of, how he's going to do it, and the fact that he also wants to fight 16 times.
Yeah.
So I think the first round, pretty hard. What I will say is, he's had some outings where Maslobojev had, he got a boys will be boys cut stoppage. And I think when you are that quiet, it can very easily not show you what you did with W. So I think, it's a weighted dice. He is more than likely to lose. But because of the way it comes to win, you can never really be surprised if it just jumps straight off.
Jumps into a left hook or jumps into a whatever. But I can absolutely see what you're saying. All right, let's move to the next round. I think the last round as well, and quite a heavy one. Jamal Ben Sadiq is taking on the southpaw French fighter Sofiane Laidouni, and also in that you have Cookie Toriko Zaro versus Luigi Gashi. Those are proper heavyweights right there, and that's what excites me about that. Those are not 4 light heavyweights; those are 4 heavyweights right there. The Kickboxing Nerd, I'll start you out. Who walks away in this division?
Yeah, I think Cookie, he's shown, he after his loss against Rico Verhoeven, he had a little bit of a bad, outing against Bahram Rajabzadeh. So, and the next fight was a little bit, lackluster as well. But in his last fight against Benjamin Adekbouy, he looked very, very good. At the same time, he's a guy who's already quite on the older side, so we already expected him to win by knockout, but still he got that confidence now, and I feel like if he comes with that same confidence, I think he could handle Gashi quite well. I mean, Gashi is someone who tries to fight somewhat technical and go for the knockout as well, but Cookie overwhelms you with those big punches. So I think Cookie will go to the final of this tournament. And if we look at the other semifinal, Jamal Ben Sadiq against Sofiane Laidouni, this is a fight a lot of people are looking forward to. To be honest, this is actually a very interesting matchup, very intriguing, because he's fighting a guy who is very, very technical. And Sofiane Laidouni, a lot of people don't like his fighting style, and I get why, but at the same time, he knows how to cancel your style out very well. And last fight, knocking out his opponent was such a surprise that I feel like this could be more entertaining than we maybe expect. So, but who will win? Yeah, that's a difficult one, because also if we're looking at Jamal Ben Sadiq's last fight, he was quite, I don't want to say it because a lot of fans will be angry with me, but it was quite lackluster. In the fight before that against Uku as well, he was waiting so long because, a lot of people expect him to go all out and he didn't. So I think he has to go all out just to, fulfill that promise.
Oh man, yeah. And that's the question. Sorry, go ahead there.
Yeah, that's the question. You can interrupt me if you want. I mean, it's an intriguing fight, but of course he's the fan favorite. I think if he plays his cards well, he will win this fight. I mean, it's going to be a tough one, but I don't think it will be ending in a knockout. I think he'll be using the same way as he fought against his last fight against, what was the name? Christian Ristea. Just keep it on the outside, try to play the game. And, he's a fan favorite. So I do think a lot of judges will give him the benefit of the doubt if it comes close. But I do see him winning this fight. And then in the final against Cookie Osaro, that's going to be a banger. Yeah, and then, yes, then I'm going to pick Cookie. Man, young man's game.
If we get a 2023 prime Cookie, he might win the entire tournament. It is just a question of what kind of state is Cookie in, right? And I mean, that question, of course, hangs in the balance over Jamal as well. But even Cookie, we're overlooking of like, is he okay? Ryan, I'm actually going to jump to you on this one. Jamal Ben Sadiq and Cookie Toriko Zaro, are both you guys physically still able to do it?
I think Cookie probably yes, JBS. I'm not going to think about this last fight sucked. And, he hadn't actually won anything since about 2018. It's not a game where you do that with it. He's had some very well publicized troubles outside of the ring. And I don't think he can train effectively under those things. And while anyway, if you're above the big anyways, you can still bench drink water, but it's not impressed. And so what I think about this group is there is tremendous stinker potential. Like if Cookie is just if he gets to the final and is just sitting back and not doing much, and if he gets to the final and it's also like trying to cancel out a guy not doing much, it could be you get a certain crowd. Is this Rotterdam or Amsterdam?
Rotterdam.
Rotterdam. Yeah, you can get some people who have strong opinions and are willing to voice them. So we'll see. But I think I was surprised by the last call and there. So maybe I'm not sure what the prize pool is for this. It's a city round, but I think you can incentivize people in some ways, and maybe it won't be as bad as I do think of this stuff on this front. There's a danger zone.
But Dogman, this guy Jamal Ben Sadiq is the heavyweight that like exemplifies how weird combat sports is sometimes. He has been in this sport for like 5 decades at this point, and he's only 32 years old. He might have another 5 decades left in his career. At any moment, he might be entering his prime. We don't know, right?
No, I disagree. I think there is a point at which he had thyroid cancer. One of the things that I assume he's had a thyroidectomy. What they do is something called block plates. So you have residual thyroid. They give you hormones to block that and thyroid hormones after that, and try and balance things out. And it can be a bit of a guessing game for a while, especially if you also take steroids, which he did. So I think, he physically just didn't look the same. And I think if you have hormonal issues like he does. Do you remember, like, back in the day, Peter Arts looked kind of flabby for a while, and then 40, and suddenly very long.
Of course.
Very good again.
K1 2010.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there. And if you're not willing to do the drugs to get the body to win the fights, then what are we doing?
Man, heavyweight kickboxing, I don't know. Like, we look back at sometimes that like Pride, K1, the Kokitaki Boom. Man, those guys were allowed to juice, and they was really good fights. Anyway, let's move to the next, because we are actually running out of time with everybody here. Okay, so let's go up and look at some of these title fights here. Kickboxing Nerd, I want to start with you on this one. Petch versus Miguel Trindade 2. They fought in Rise not long ago at the end of a massive tournament, single night tournament. Both guys were pretty tired. Petch was able to really clinch. Can the knockout artist from Portugal get it done in the rematch?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, he is on a tear. He's doing amazing. I mean, he had an awesome win streak, except for the Petch loss, of course. I think he knocked out Chad Collins. He knocked out Kento Haraguchi. He knocked out, I think it was Nakamura. I'm mistaken, but anyway.
Off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah, but he's been knocking people out in the last couple of fights, except for the fight with Petch, of course. And he is such a big talent, a young guy. But I still feel like Petch is. I think he's only 29 years old, or maybe 30. He's still a young guy, and still, it feels like he's getting better each fight. And his boxing is amazing. Sorry, I don't want to say amazing, but I want to say his boxing is getting better and better. And that combined with his left body kick, that's a danger, And the only thing let me put it like this. I feel like Trindade does have what it takes, but I do feel like Petch is still on top of his game. So I do think Petch is going to win. But, it would be so awesome if Petch finally, uses knockout power again, because we've seen him doing that, but he it's been a long time since he knocked people out. And I feel kind of bad saying this because, Miguel Trindade is a nice guy. Sometimes we have a little bit of contact, talk about fights, and I don't want to, badmouth him in any way. But, he will be champion someday. Someday he will be champion. But I feel Petch is still just, on top of his game. I don't see him losing.
Yeah, and talking to his trainers, he just keeps getting better. He took a year off to recover from injuries. I think they had a surgery in there, and then he was sparring with larger men, and that's the scary part of a guy like Petch getting better. Now, I don't, Dogman, you like Petch quite a bit. You like that he toes the line on where the rules are. He just finds what the referee is going to do and just brings it right up to getting a point taken away. He's your favorite fighter, right, Dogman?
To me, he was quite a joke until Chad Collins extracted him. Fight of the year. What are people, and he's one of these people. He has a steady fixture in his weight class, and while their last fight showed that it was exactly the dynamic in this, but the chance to do it properly over 5 rounds, as it should be, I think it's something that should be celebrated. I also think, Trindade was an incredible film. Kickboxing fights where if you are not watching his performances in Rise, if you are purely a glory watcher, then the last time you saw it was oh shit, and you might think, well, what is going on here? Why is this? Well, I think this is the joy of the sort of cross-pollination that they've had going on.
Yeah,
it's that actually someone who may have just been shuffled down lower on the card has a chance to fly their trade, show exactly who they are, what their worth is to the moment. And make something like this, which they both go on very high. I don't think that it will be a play of the last one, but the dynamics are going to be very different. It's 5 minutes. Well, one of the things I should mention is on his record officially, that last one was a split decision, simply because one of the judges cleared. Now I know that we'll have more judges to, hopefully inoculate against that here, but it is a distinct possibility. But not going to get fed up with watching. But the other thing I would say is my good friend Isang actually managed to catch him and pop it a couple of times with left hooks. And he did that with a peculiar setup. And if Trindade could do the same thing, he is a physicist. That's a 30-year-old who I love him, is not. So there is a chance for something interesting to happen. But I do it 5-round like three.
I think this fight is awesome. I mean, even Donovan Wisse said he's looking forward to this fight. So, man, if he's saying that he's looking forward to this fight, well, we all should be looking forward to this fight, I think.
No, I'm excited for it. I got Trindade via knockout bucket. Let's go big. Now, I know we just got 2 minutes left here. So
I just we can have like 10 minutes tops. Then
all right. So
I bought some time. So
thanks so much, man. All right, so let's get to the main event then. Rico Verhoeven, he's friends with Glory again after kind of in and out of the promotion for 2023, hosting his own shows and stuff like that. He is back now, but Artem Vakhitov suspended for being born a Russian person. This was during the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, but he's back now. Former light heavyweight champion, did very well in MMA, played around on Dana White's Contender Series, came back to Glory, and is now moving up heavyweight and taking on the champion, Rico Verhoeven. Mr. Kickboxing Nerd, how do you see this main event playing out here?
Well, this fight is... A lot of people are really downplaying this fight and are not excited watching, the longtime champion Rico Verhoeven taking on someone who has been out of the kickboxing ring for such a long time. I see why they're, to be honest, I feel this fight is more interesting than seeing a fight against, for example, another fight against Jamal Ben Saddik or again against Kuki Osaro, because we've already seen those fights. And Vakhitov is such a unique fighter. He likes to slip under punches, come in salvos. He's the guy, Giovanni Chin, another journalist we all know. He actually called him Maestro, as you maybe should call yourself Maestro. And I think that's the perfect name because Vakhitov, he can he flows like music in the ring. He is just so it's satisfactory to see how he plays the game so well, and that's why I think it's an interesting fight because both are very technical. All both have a very great sense of strategy. It's a new fight, and that's why I'm so excited. The thing is, Glory just didn't sell people on this fight, in my opinion, because a lot of people are more excited for Khbabez versus Boapeah, or maybe Khbabez versus
Sergej
Maslobojev and Boapeah and Wisse. So I feel like there is a story there, and I think it's a missed opportunity on their part not telling the story because this is more interesting than we all think.
Well, yeah, and you get some of these guys like Tyson Fury said that the guys that he hates fighting are the mid cruiserweight guys who can really hang out in the middle, hang out not quite close range, not quite distant. They like to hang out in the mid range. And that's very much what Artem Vakhitov is. He can frustrate very good strikers, just being in that kind of mid-range where you don't want someone to be. And that's the thing of like, yeah, he doesn't have a size advantage, but Tyson Fury didn't have a size advantage over Alexander Usyk. And that's exactly the kind of fighter that Vakhitov is. I could see him potentially getting it done. It might just not be satisfying over 5 rounds, right, Kimbo? What do you think?
Well, yeah. To be honest, I do feel like the size difference is going to play a big issue, but I do think it's going to be a very entertaining fight for kickboxing purists. Let me put it like that. But if I have to be really honest, I'm so happy Artem Vakhitov is back, but I'd like to see him back in light heavyweight. I want to see him reclaim his title because he never lost the title. But that's just me.
Man, and light heavyweight, Donegi Abina, we got Sergej Maslobojev, Tarik Khbabez, Bahram Rajabzadeh. Like, it is such a fucking good division. I want to see everybody in that division. Maury Chroma's there. Jem Caceres is actually there. Like, most of the heavyweight tournament is in that division, right?
That's basically, it's just almost open weight like in the K1 days. So.
And it's absolutely awesome. Dogman main event, Rico Verhoeven taking on the Artem Vakhitov. How do you see it playing out?
Vakhitov is a great fighter. He's probably one of the best generation. It is a tragedy that his career was derailed because his organization fundamentally funded by oil money, which got a bit squeamish about what the size and dimension and scope of the sanctions was going to be. So it's great to see him back. That said, he is not a heavy. He was not a particularly big light man. I would love to see him, end the long winning streak. But I do see it as kind of a grand bargain saying, we'll let you back, take the loss, go back to your correct. And I do think that there's something for community, which is something there has been a lot of, waning care from the home crowd, the Dutch audience that they really rely on for this stuff. How long this is going to go on. And you get diminishing returns. So this is an opportunity. But I do see it. I think what was being said about that big ring, Rico is so much taller, so much more while obviously I don't think he's ever that on someone with the technical chops he'll have. So there is just a tremendous physical advantage here. And I think this will be a post-justification for him going back down to 5, which would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, at 205, a division is cooking. I mean, we're all kind of picking Rico, but we're all trying to sell the fight a little bit. I do love that. But Sergej Maslobojev and Tarik Khbabez will be running back there. I want to say 2023 Fight of the Year contender. It was a 5-round war. Absolutely incredible fight. One of my favorite fights of whatever year that was. Kickboxing Nerd, kick us off. How do you see that one playing out?
This is going to be an awesome fight. I mean, you got this guy who is relentless, going forward, doesn't know how to, put his foot off the pedal in Tarik Khbabez. He's a emotional fighter. He gets caught up in, the fight and everything that happens before and after. And you got, Maslobojev, who is very technical, does have power, precision. He knows how to play, the trash talking game very well. Last fight he called he called out Tarik Khbabez's belly because he came down from heavyweight, and Khbabez was obviously agitated. So it made for a great story and a great fight, and I think we'll be seeing something of the same in this fight again. And I think again, Maslobojev with his precision could pull this off. I mean, those low kicks he used, man, Khbabez's leg was, it was basically kebab. I mean, it was just tender meat. So, the only thing I didn't understand is that Maslobojev didn't continue on with doing low kicks. So I feel like maybe he could do this strategy again and just keep on pushing that low kick. And if he doesn't, go upstairs and, get the knockout. But, Khbabez is not going down without a fight. So it's going to be interesting, emotional drama. The crowd will be all behind the backs of, Khbabez. Maslobojev loves that. He has mentioned that before, hey guys, please scream because you give me energy, So this is going to be a wild one.
Man, it's going to be an absolute banger. Their first fight was so good. Maslobojev went away for a little while. I think he was working on trying to heal his shins and took some fights outside of Glory. Came back. It's been a rough road for him because he's either loses in close fights or loses because of weird cuts, but directly beating him can be a bit of a challenge. I think his last fight, he walked out of the ring because he was complaining about a foul or something. So he never really directly loses. But Dogman, can Sergej Maslobojev win undisputed gold, or is his career in the weird cursed state at this point?
I think he can. So that's right now, the champion is Khbabez, who is beat. However, can I flip the script and instead talk about Hoshi versus Kapu?
Of course. Do anything you want, bro.
Yeah. So, I don't assume that the people listening to this by and large will not be thinking perhaps being European. But will not be However, there are two fights that you should see to get yourself excited for this. One is again, Wheaton last year. Great fight. I love it. Secondly, it is still a compliment. Fight is over. I don't know if it's actually classic. Gosh, very, very, very interesting. Had this big emotional fight. Knocked down several times, beat one of the finest technical fighters of his generation. And then Clyde is the first thing he says, I guess I've never been a very good dad. Very interesting. Then he had this small run. What would happen is he would knock down, freeze up, smile, damn it, can't believe that. Get up and have these fight of the year all in a row. And of course now Jim is ruined. One of those was with Timmer. And I think stylistically this is a very fun. It's very below on this card, so please do.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, no, that's the thing of it's almost not getting any heat for, despite maybe end up being the best fight on the card, right?
So he's a guy who's not going to back down. Climb back. Then he's doing kind of a bad one. I think some of that chalked up through not being a small nuts guy. So perhaps a bit more safety fudge in this instance. Maybe, I think it has really, really good potential. Yeah, a nice palate, so hopefully they sandwich some of the heavyweights.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into the final championship fight. It's a rematch from the fight of the year middleweight clash. That, my God, it had no right being this good. Donovan Wisse taking on Michael Boapeah. Michael Boapeah, a guy that we have just seen since he was 21 years old, develop into a really incredible fighter, taking on a defensive savant in Donovan Wisse. And just, they have a perfect style against one another to really make it exciting. Kickboxing nerd, Kimball, what do you think, man?
Awesome fight. I actually, just today I was watching the pre-fight, promotion video, and I was like, man, this is such an awesome matchup. I mean, Boapeah has been taunting and challenging, Wisse for a while now, and they compiled all those moments back to back, and I got hyped up because he is just so great at trash talking. It's just actually pretty insane that he still isn't, that famous among, casual audiences. I mean, we kickboxing fans, we do know who he is. He's one of the best in middleweight right now, and he knows how to talk. He knows how to promote himself. And then we have Donovan Wisse, a champion who's calm, collective, just like his fighting style, very precise, knows how to, play that game very well by, reading the canvas, reading his opponent, judging the distance. When you come close, well, then you get, a small hook. When you get a little bit on the outside, then you probably get a teep between, your ribs. He just knows how to, read you as an opponent so very well. And, it showed in his last fight against Boapeah. Yeah, it was an awesome fight, the first time they fought each other. And, you saw Boapeah have potential, but, in the championship rounds, it was evident that, you gotta be, you gotta be on top of your game if you want to be champion, if you want to defeat the champion. And this Donovan Wisse is just a unique fighter. He is good at everything. And, Boapeah is very, very good at, throwing calf kicks. And the fun thing is, one of the first time we saw calf kicks in kickboxing was when Donovan Wisse was fighting against Boapeah, and Boapeah threw calf kicks, and he was like, what the hell is this? And mid-fight, he just changed up his fighting style, his game, his strategy, and canceled out the calf kicks from Boapeah, and he still won the fight. So this is a very interesting fight. So how are these calf kicks going to work on Wisse? Because, that's the game Boapeah has been playing for the last couple of fights. And of course, he's got a lot of power when he went to light heavyweight. Is he going to carry that back to middleweight? Because, in middleweight, I don't think he has maybe only one knockout. So we'll see what happens. This is a very intriguing fight, and I find it very hard, to predict a winner. But, Boapeah has been riding on such a, his confidence is in the sky. It's insane. And yeah, I do want to give a slight edge to Boapeah, but it's a very difficult fight to predict.
Well, yeah, Donovan Wisse is like a puzzle that can't really see any of these guys beating him. But man, Boapeah did a really good job. He did much better than we expected him to do in that first fight.
I mean, he came with his A game at that time, and he was only, I think, 23 years young at the time. So, and he's only growing, getting better, getting more experience. So, we haven't seen Wisse for that much since then, but we have seen Boapeah, I think, for about 4 or 5 fights, and he has been growing significantly in every fight we've seen him. So, and that's why I think there's a chance for Boapeah. If there's a time, then I think today is the time. Well, not today, but the 14th is the time, I think.
Man, I cannot wait. Dogman, I know you got to go back to the office here in just a minute for your real job. Thoughts on the middleweight class?
Fake job.
Fake job. Yeah. Kickboxing's your career, man.
Yeah. No, I think for historical reasons, the middleweight division has been a bit sort of fallow. It's perfect in between the two places where there was 7 and there were these sort of wilderness years where Artem Vakhitov, a man who claims to never lift weights and has certainly not taken steroids, became one of the best in this division. And I think it's nice that there's now this rivalry where we kind of lodestone a flag and say, okay, here's where it's maybe our. But Wisse is one of those guys who I respect more than I like. He's got a great record. It's still been very careful. But people get kind of annoyed by his continual rise in the pound-for-pound ranking. Because simply he's not losing. Sometimes he has these very good fights. Sometimes they're, I would say they drag down the card. That's just there's a pacing and a staccato nature to fighting. So sometimes if there is action before it, it's very unfairly gets maligned as being poor. However, I think this, the last one pretty good. I think Boapeah's last couple of fights, he's got stoppages. However, Stefan needs to real fire his manager.
Yeah, he does.
Also, El Buni, not on the level of a very tough coming up. So I don't want to say he's streaking off at two control, but it's going to be probably the last one. I assume that Wisse wins the game, but hopefully it comes at the right point. Before called it is something that can be appreciated in its own.
Absolutely. All right, Dogman, we're going to get out of here in just 1 second, but last word from you, sir. Thank you so much for your time, but Dogman, talk us on out of here before you head back.
Well, as I said, I surprisingly enjoyed their I think, Rico is getting along very nice to see that they're around. So, okay, what do we do post? That's the whole fight. There's finally some intrigue in the division. I would say I have probably spent most of the last 10 minutes go away. So, and for this to come from, of all places, Glory, which, sometimes today, they book things as if this is competitive and not entertaining. Whereas other promotions who, do the opposite. One of the things that happens is you have ways to do it. And I think that there is something to really cherish. And I think as much as it is very necessary to have these things in house. Say that yes, this is not just a blood sport to extract value from small samples. But it does have a life. Let's find some range in smashing these toys. While it's not always a thing, like you said, I appreciate it. And I think that the world would be stronger. Yes. So I'm glad that it is. Another thing, though, like this is going to be a 2-day event. Any promoters looking at this, don't do that. Put yourself in opposition to yourself. You might save some money, like when you're paying one set of one takedown fee that you're against it. But nobody's buying. Okay, just do the one thing. Good idea.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for your time, man. The Kickboxing Nerd, last word, sir. Talk us on out of here. Where can people find more of you? What are you looking forward to? All that good stuff that we missed.
Yeah, first of all, just go watch Glory 100. I mean, it costs a little bit of money, but if you like kickboxing, just support the sport because we're not MMA, we're not that big, but we want to be. So, if everybody would watch kickboxing, man, I would be a very happy man. What I'm looking forward to is this event, and of course, week after that one, the Glory Last Featherweight Standing Tournament first round as well, with a lot of great rise fights on that card as well. So there's a lot of kickboxing coming up. So I'm excited for so many different things. Even K1, Roel Monard is coming back to defend his heavyweight title after 5 years being champion without fights, which is pretty funny and awesome at the same time. There's a lot to look out for. But first things first, and that's Glory 100. And please go watch it because, I've sold myself to watch this. I mean...
Yeah, you all gotta watch it. It's actually good. I convinced myself it's good. I promise you it's also good.
That's all. Yeah, that's it.
Hey, folks, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it, gentlemen, and we'll talk to you all soon.